Good evening. Welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph and I am the host of this show. A show that is dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. As well as now we are doing a few other things as well. But basically we're sticking with the main program. So tonight we're doing... Sorry, I'm just going to turn this. I'm getting a bit of a glare on the top shelf here. And I've put my Rush shirt over there, but it's still giving me a little bit of a glare. But anyways, I just wanted to tell you we're doing our series tonight. This is episode 48, the year 2010, of Rock Stars Who Thrilled Us but have since passed on. Tonight we have two people that I love quite a bit. One of them, Doug Fieger, lead vocalist, rhythm guitar player for The Knack, and Ronnie James Dio, who I consider to be the best vocalist of all time. Well, whether he's the best or not, he's certainly my favorite. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about those two, but we're also going to do our honorable mentions, which I will do after. So Doug Fieger was born August the 20th, 1952 in... I drew a blank there. In Oak Park, Michigan. He died February the 14th, Valentine's Day, 2010, at the age of 57 in Wood Hills, LA. He was basically, the music he played was basically rock, power pop, new wave. He was a vocalist and rhythm guitarist and also played the harmonica. He was active from 1970 to 2010. He was the life partner, I guess, of Sharona Alperin, although they were only together for 4 years. But they were friends right up till his death. She was there every day when he was dying of cancer, which is what he died of. The other thing is his brother Jeff Fieger was also known for representing Jack Kevorkian in the what they would call Dr. Death. So that's where the other fame comes into. He started out playing with a band called Sky back in the early 1970s, 70, 71, and they released 2 LPs. He then joined another band before he ended up forming The Knack. And The Knack released their album Get the Knack, which sold over 6 million copies and featured the hit single My Sharona, which was named after his soon-to-be girlfriend Sharona Alperin. So, and then he died of cancer when he was 57. He had 2 brain surgeries to remove tumors, and then it came back and it eventually caught up with him, and he died of that. Thing about The Knack that I really liked is that album Get the Knack was a huge, massive album for me when it came out. One of my favorite albums of 1979, an album I played a lot. Their subsequent albums, the Good Girls Don't, but I do. Anyways, the next album it did okay. It was fine. I didn't mind it, but it was like a big drop. And then after that, that was it for them, for me anyways. I mean, some people may have continued to follow them. I didn't really, but I still love that album quite a bit. I don't actually have it, which surprised me. So it must have been part of my vinyl collection, which I haven't replaced yet. There's still quite a few albums in that collection that haven't been replaced yet. For some reason I thought this one was, but it isn't. As I looked on my shelf and it isn't there. So anyways, I can't show you that. I did like Doug Fieger. I seen him when he went on the David Letterman show, and this is many years after the hit, and the band got back together and performed the song there. Very, very charging energy, high energy song. I can't imagine there's anybody out there in rock music that has not heard that song, My Sharona. I also like She's So Selfish. It's probably the song I like the most on the album. But the whole album as a whole was really good. So, I thank Doug Fieger for putting that band together and giving me one fantastic summer when I was 15. And so, there you go. So now we're going to go on to probably my favorite vocalist of all time, one of my favorite rock stars of all time. To me, he's a legend, and that's Ronnie James Dio. I've been following Ronnie James Dio since about 1980 when he joined Black Sabbath, but then I went back and listened to his stuff too. Anyways, he was born July 10th, 1942 in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. He died May the 16th, 2010 at the age of 67 in Houston, Texas. Funny that such a small person lives in such a big state. They just seem at odds there for me. His music was pretty much heavy metal, hard rock, blues rock, and early on he did do traditional pop with some of the stuff that he was doing earlier on. He was a vocalist, although apparently he did play some bass early on as well. He was active from 1957 to 2010. So, a list of bands that he performed with: Elf, Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, then Rainbow, Black Sabbath, his own creation, Dio, Heaven and Hell, which was a reformation of the Black Sabbath Dio era, but to keep it from being confused with, because at that time, Black Sabbath were touring with Ozzy and then also touring with Dio, so to break up the confusion, they went by Heaven and Hell when they were with Dio, and they went by Black Sabbath when they were with Ozzy. And he also played, he played on that Hearing Aid. He was kind of the organizer of it. It was kind of the heavy metal version of Live Aid. Anyways, he was the kind of the organizer of that. He also popularized this. This was popularized by him. I know you see this everywhere in heavy metal bands, but I remember him when he started that, and we didn't, what the hell is that, right? Anyways, he popularized that. And he had a accident in 2003 where his thumb was cut off during a garden accident, and his biggest worry was he wouldn't be able to do this anymore. But they fixed his thumb, had it reattached, and he was able to continue. So with Ronnie, the thing about Ronnie is he has a really powerful voice, and it has a high range too. Like, there's octave ranges are fairly high for him, but it's just, for such a small guy, it's such a strong voice. I just love his voice. Some of the songs that he's done, some of my favorite vocal songs of all time are him on lead vocals. Stargazer from the Rainbow Rising. So he's on 3 of the most popular albums for me. One of them, this one, Rainbow Rising, with Ritchie Blackmore. Stargazer, maybe one of the greatest vocal performances in heavy metal history. Then he's on this album, Heaven and Hell, one of my 5 favorite albums of all time. Definitely my favorite Black Sabbath album, and I love every track on here, and he has some real bruisers on here like Neon Nights and Wishing Well. Of course, the stable Heaven and Hell, which everybody knows, and Children of the Sea, which I think is an underrated classic. So there he is on the back too, with the boys. And in this case, you get to see both group names, Black Sabbath and then Heaven and Hell. And sorry, I forgot to switch the camera around so that you could see it. And then last but not least, Dio. When he went solo, this album, Holy Diver, it's got some real heavy stuff on it. I love the title track, Holy Diver. And there's some other stuff on here that's really good too. But I don't really want to get into talking about the album too much because I may end up doing an episode on that at some point. Probably fairly soon too. Anyways, just a phenomenal musician and a great person too. I've seen many interviews with Ronnie James Dio. The 2 things about him that I like is his sincerity. He's always very sincere, and he'll give you the time of day. but don't cross him. Like if you say stuff about him, he won't hesitate to give it back to you. And there's been a lot written about his feud with Ozzy Osbourne. I don't really think of it as a feud. I think Ozzy's a bit of a madman. Great singer. Loved the stuff that he did with Sabbath. Fantastic. Great frontman, but a little bit loose, a bit of a loose cannon. And, Dio just wouldn't take it lying down. They were supposed to, the guys wanted to play at a concert for the Ozfest, that they were going to come on and play backup for Ozzy at the Ozfest, and Dio said, "I'm not doing that," and he wouldn't do it. He didn't do it. It ended up. I guess that split them for the second time. I've heard the stories. He didn't get along very well with Geezer and Tony Iommi. Apparently, they said that when he came on to be on Heaven and Hell, he was all accommodating, did everything that they want. When it got to Mob Rules, he started inserting himself a bit, and then apparently on the Live Evil album, he would come into the studio after the recording technician was done and change everything around and apparently boost up his vocals. But I tend not to believe that. I think that there's a little bit of shenanigans going on with both parties, and that he's not that type of guy, I don't think, and he also isn't the type of guy to stick around when that nonsense is going on. So he just said, "Okay, if that's the way you guys think that I'm running the show, or that the way I operate, then I'm out of here." And he left. They got back together 10 years later, did another really good album, Dehumanizer, and same kind of thing went on. So, and then apparently they got back together in 2007. They actually, Heaven and Hell actually released an album. I don't own that one because I just became aware of it. I didn't realize they'd done an album as well as just the tours. So I will be looking for that. You can count on it. And then, of course, he did all of his solo stuff, which was good initially, but it kind of wore on you after a bit. I don't really think much of the later solo albums, but no matter what he did, though, I just think he is one of those great vocalists who is just legendary in status. I have seen him twice. I seen him with Black Sabbath in 1980, phenomenal concert. And then I saw him at Massey Hall in Toronto, and I'm going to say it was in '83 with his first or second album. I think his second album had just not come out, just was about to come out. It didn't come out. Anyways, he headlined at Massey Hall, and I believe the two backup bands, and don't quote me on this, but I think they were Anvil, who went on second last, and then Metallica, who was at that time a very, very new band, and nobody even actually knew who they were. I didn't know who they were, and my friend, I said, "Who's this Metallica?" He said, "Oh, they're an up-and-coming band, man, you'll like them." So I don't know if that was the truth, or maybe I misrepresent. They may have been around for a while at that point. Maybe it was they just released a big album or something. I'm not really sure. I didn't know much about them at the time, so I wasn't really paying all that much attention. However, Dio was the headlining act, and I was. We were in Massey. If you've ever been to Massey Hall in Toronto, it's up close and personal. Real fine venue. The letting out into the alley is a little bit scary, but other than that, great venue for a concert, and I think Dio was fantastic there. And it was one of the last concerts I went to. He was great, though. Anyways, so there you have it. Ronnie James Dio, legendary hard rock, heavy metal singer, one of the best of all time. I salute you, Ronnie, and we miss you. You're one of the greatest of all time. So now, having done all that, it's time to do the honorable mentions. I've gotten a little wiser in my thing. I've now written them on a board where I can actually see them, and I don't have to try and read my own bad handwriting. So improvements are being made at the office here. So I'm just going to give you my list. I've only wrote 10. Tony Clark from the Moody Blues, he was the producer. record producer, that is. Teddy Pendergrass from Harold Melvin, the Harold Melvin and Blue Notes. Paul Gray of Slipknot. Marvin Isley of the Isley Brothers. Walt Woodward III of Twisted Sister. Peter Quaife of the Kinks. Richie Haynard, I think it's Haynard, of Little Feat. Mike Edwards of ELO. Jim Clench, of course, the legendary Jim Clench of April Wine, BTO, Loverboy. I remember when Jim Clench was a member of April Wine, and then when he took over in BTO when I think Freddie Turner left the band. I think that's when he took over. Great musician. And Don Van Vliet, who was Captain Beefheart in the Captain Beefheart band. So there you go. I salute all of those. Rest in peace. Thanks for your contributions to rock music, and lots of great musicians gone this year. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. This episode will air tomorrow morning at its standard time. And then we have another episode which will come on Saturday morning. That episode may come out a little bit later because I have in the works one of my new episodes from one of my new series supposed to be coming out Saturday morning as well. And that will be the time slot for every Saturday. There will be one of those monthly episodes for one of those new monthly shows, and it'll come out early in the morning. So then if the look-backs are not the look-back, if the series episodes come out on a Saturday or Sunday, I will be airing them at probably around 11 o'clock, and I may do a live show on the last Sunday or Saturday of the month. It'll depend on how I'm going to set this up. So there's a lot of new stuff here, so I have to see how it plans out before I decide how to do the live show. So I'm hoping to get all this done. There's a lot to do, and I hope that you will enjoy this particular episode for Ronnie James Dio and Doug Fieger of the Knack. If you like that, please like and subscribe and tell me your memories about these two greats. I'd love to hear it. So thank you from Murph for Prog Monster. Have a good evening.